But if government is going to be taken in this fashion, it cannot happen under our name. So it's for that reason that we wanted to communicate a message to South Africa that we are ready, and communicate a message to this drug squad, politicians, the executive, police officers within law enforcement agencies, that we're ready for them. I said when I presented earlier, I knew that I've got a target on my back. So for me, maybe you'll forgive me in saying this as a Zulu man. So I wanted to make sure that they get a message that
I don't sneak up on a person. I face them directly.
So Commissioner, we were pushed to the corner that for us to counter this, what is happening, let's draw attention of South Africa for them to realize the battle that we're about to face. And it is a battle, I must say, as I said, when we put that screen, that they are so-called experts, they are so-called forensic investigators, they are so-called journalists. There's a whole lot of people that are spreading news, feeding.
The wife of a Mozambican businessman at the center of a high-profile kidnapping investigation has accused KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and members of his allied political killings task team of theft, torture, and unlawful detention. In a damning affidavit submitted to the Hawks, Nazia Nengi, the wife of a businessman, Asmal Nengi, claimed that officers ransacked her Gauteng home during a raid in November 2024, stealing luxury items worth hundreds of thousands of rand, including 6 Rolex watches, diamond and gold jewelry, and a 50,000 rand in cash, and stated that the police conducted an illegal raid and ransacked our home, destroying numerous rooms, furniture, and appliances. Her affidavit was deposed to Hawks investigator Major General Meli Makinyane on 23 July 2025, and further stated that they even removed a wall-bolted safe containing 5 genuine Rolex watches and other valuable items. My Rolex, kept on my bedside counter, was also stolen. Nengi alleges that after her arrest on 27 November 2024, she was taken to KwaDukuza police station, where she was held in squalid conditions for 4 days without being allowed to bath or change her clothing and underwear, and said during this time I was held in inhumane conditions, adding that the police repeatedly demanded information linking her husband to the alleged kidnapping of KwaZulu-Natal businessman Zakaria Desire, who was reportedly held for a 35 million rand ransom. Despite her processed that she knew nothing about any kidnapping or anyone named Zakaria, Nengi says she was threatened and coerced into providing her brother's contact details, fearing her husband will be killed. She was released on December 1, 2024 without ever appearing in court. The ordeal traces back to November 2024, when Ismail and his brother-in-law, Said Abrits, were traveling from Mpumalanga to Johannesburg. According to Ismail's affidavit, their vehicle was ambushed near the Craft Road off-ramp in Edenville by a white VW Golf 8 and a BMW, whose occupants forced them out at a gunpoint. As they pointed guns at us, forced us onto the ground, covered our heads, and never presented an arrest warrant. He alleges they were taken to a private residence in Houghton, Johannesburg, where they were stripped naked, beaten, and tortured while handcuffed. Their possessions, including cash, phones, and Ismail's Mercedes-Benz, were seized without documentation. The vehicle, reportedly locked in police custody, was later found banned in Pietermaritzburg, and said they beat and tortured me, including genital torture with garden shears. When I refused to unlock my iPhone, they suffocated me with a plastic bag filled with water. After more than 2 hours of torture, I gave them the password. Ismail said his captors then forced him to call his wife, threatening to return him in pieces if she failed to help them locate another businessman, Jumin Ho. According to a police report sent by the Sunday World publication, Ismail Brits and another suspect, a police officer named Samkeliso, Mlotshwa were later taken from official custody on 9 December 2024 to a private farm near KwaDukuza. That the report alleges Commissioner Mkhwanazi and members of the complainant's family confronted the suspects. It is alleged that Provincial Commissioner Mkhwanazi told officer, "You should have committed suicide." The report further confirms that Ismail and one of other suspects were tortured again in the presence of Mkhwanazi and the complainant's relatives. One victim was later hospitalized due to severity of his injuries. The group was allegedly moved between multiple secret locations, including Matsuli near the Mozambique border, before being transferred back to KwaDukuza. The Nang family's case adds to a growing list of complaints against the PKTT. In a separate incident, attempted murder accused Vusimuzi Matlala also accused the same task team of stealing his luxury watches during a police operation. Both Nenki and Matlala's case have now been escalated to the Hawks, with formal complaints lodged against senior officers implicated in the alleged misconduct. Meanwhile, members of parliament are uncertain about the potential inclusion of evidence leader Advocate Norman Arendse SC under the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliaments and Provincial Legislatures Act 2004. This comes after suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu Chief of Staff Cedric Nkabinde is demanding an apology from Parliament's ad hoc committee evidence leader for comments he made last Wednesday. In a letter to Arendse dated October 17, Kabinde's lawyers, Louds in Africa, said the remarks were made on October 15 when suspended Deputy Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya appeared. The letter stated, during the course of these proceedings at around 7:16, and after the chairperson had made a ruling that the evidence leader, Advocate Norman Arendse, must clarify certain issues that needed clarity, Arendse SC made reference to our client's name. The letter states that these statements and insinuations made in a public forum and broadcast to the wider public are not true, and there are a clear and defamatory implication that our client is involved in criminal activities, specifically in relation to so-called drug cartels and organized crime operating in Gauteng. Kabinde, according to the letter, is seeking for Arendse SC to desist making remarks associating or implying to associate our client with any so-called criminal syndicates and or drug cartels operating in Gauteng, and that he makes a full and unequivocal public retraction of defamatory statement made or implied. The ad hoc committee spokesperson said that Arendse SC would be best placed for comment. The DA Member of Parliament Ian Cameron said that he sees the matter as being one in which the Ethics Committee will have to weigh in on, as that could be quite a hefty punishment. Cameron said he is unclear on how far the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliaments and Provincial Legislatures Act 2004 would extend, and if it will include Arendse as the evidence leader, and said, "I think Kabinde is, as the Africans saying, like a cat on a hot tin roof. He should just wait his turn, and then he can come to the ad hoc committee and state his case." Cameron said that the evidence leader's job is to probe things and that he may ask questions that could be extremely uncomfortable. What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.